10 shocking truths about the Trinity that will haunt you forever. The sky burned a deep crimson as the storm clouds gathered overhead, while whispers of an ancient secret stirred in the hearts of the curious townsfolk. Shadows flitted across cobblestone streets like specters of the past, and the air hummed with a palpable tension, begging to be unraveled. As midnight approached, the clock tower of St. Lucia's church told a haunting reminder that something was coming. And this wasn't any ordinary story, it was a dive into realms that would chill your bones and quicken your heartbeat. The first chilling truth snaked through the alleyways of town like a serpent. Nobody truly knew how many people had gone missing over the last century, but legend spoke of a number so staggering, it could fill the town square several times over. No bodies. No explanations. Just echoes of laughter swallowed by the night. Locals exchanged worried glances, their breath hitching as they turned their eyes toward the church. The only thing standing between them and whatever malevolent force resided beyond the threshold of the unknown. Samantha, a seasoned investigator and an armchair historian, felt a shiver crawl up her spine as she pieced together the threads of the stories. Each thread led her deeper into the tangled web of the Trinity, a trio of mysterious symbols etched into the church's stone facade. Each represented a secret, a darkness too heavy to bear, whispered only in hushed tones at the local diner. Some said when the bell tolled 13 times, the spirits of the vanished would return to reclaim what was theirs. The dread hung thick like fog, wrapping itself around her, leaving her breathless and raw with fear. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the ominous wind began to howl through the empty streets, Samantha barely noticed the clock creeping closer to midnight. Sweat pooled on her brow, but her resolve flickered like a flame in the endless darkness. She knew she had to explore the church and face whatever lay within. The deeper she dug, the more intertwined her fate became with that of the town's horrific past. Was she ready to discover the secrets that could potentially shatter her reality? Her heart raced, battling between curiosity and terror, knowing that the answers she sought might just be the beginning of something far worse. The church door creaked open like a coffin lid, a suffocating dread clawing at her throat. As Samantha stepped inside, her instincts screamed for her to turn back. But the thrill of the unknown pulled her deeper, turning her mind into a whirlwind of questions. What awaited her within these hallowed halls? Would the voices of the missing finally rise, or would they drag her into their despair? The eerie silence was deafening, surrounding her like a cloak. She was on the precipice of an unraveling of fate that could bind her to the mystery forever. The air inside St. Lucia's church felt thick and suffocating, as if the weight of the past pressed down on her. Shadows danced across the stained glass windows, casting twisted forms on the stone floor. Samantha's heart raced, echoing in her ears, a relentless drumbeat urging her deeper into the darkness. Each step felt haunted by the memories of those who had vanished, and the hunger for answers gnawed at her resolve. As she ventured further in, the faint sound of whispering brushed against her ears. It was like a low wind, but laced with despair. She couldn't distinguish words, but the essence carried an unmistakable plea. Help! It fluttered through the air like a trapped bird. Her fingers traced the cold stone walls, seeking the Trinity symbols that intrigued her. She needed to understand their significance, what curse they might hold. Suddenly, she stumbled upon a small alcove, dimly lit by flickering candles. The flames struggled against a relentless draft. The very breath of the church seemed alive, taunting her resolve. In the alcove's center stood a pedestal with a worn leather book atop it. Its pages cracked and yellowed, but it held the promise of unknown truths. She lifted the book gently, its weight pressing against her palms like an unspoken secret. As she began to flip through the pages, the whispers grew louder. Was it her imagination, or did the voices belong to those lost souls? her breath hitched when she stumbled upon a passage. To summon the lost, one must embrace the darkness of the Trinity. The words were chilling, a portal to the horrors that had unfolded over the century. Fear coiled in her stomach. Was this the key to unlocking what had been buried deep? Should she heed the warning or continue the perilous exploration? The sound of the church door creaking shut jolted her. Cold terror struck her mind, and she glanced back towards the exit. It was gone, sealed off as if the church itself decided to keep her in. Panic surged, but adrenaline quickly took its place. She was not going to be trapped here, not when she was so close to discovering the truth. Just then, the clock began to toll. 1, 2, the sound echoed ominously through the cavernous space. It continued, the rhythm like a heartbeat counting down to something dreadful. The 13th toll rang out, and the ground shook beneath her feet, a violent tremor that sent dust cascading from the rafters. Get out. You need to leave. A voice pierced her consciousness, resonating from behind her. The confusion swayed her as she turned. Looming shadows erupted from the darkness, murmurs turned to cries, echoing the names of the lost. Figures materialized around her, wraith-like and tortured. Their eyes, hollow voids of despair, fixed on her with a chilling longing. Just when she thought she might scream, a burst of icy wind surged past her, extinguishing the candlelight. Samantha. The voice called again, more potent this time, forcing her to look deeper into the void. Was the voice a friend, or one of the spirits seeking revenge? The church trembled as if it sensed her dilemma. She stood paralyzed between the world of the living and the spirits, the bonds of fate tying her to both sides. As reality warped around her, the shadows smiled, tugging at her soul. What would happen next? Would she become one of the lost, or could she uncover the truth and escape this nightmare? The shadows drew closer, their desperate whispers a promise of truths yet unveiled, while Samantha's heart thudded violently in her chest, caught between reality and oblivion. What awaited her in the darkness, and could she resist the pull of the truth that beckoned her ever closer? The whispering intensified, wrapping around her like a fog. Samantha could feel their despair, heavy and suffocating, each voice pulling her deeper into chaos. She took a step back, her heart racing, desperate to escape the gaze of the hollow eyes that seemed to pierce right through her very soul, but the shadows surged forward, a dark tide cresting an unseen wave. They reached for her with incorporeal hands, fingers that could almost brush against her skin but not quite. Just out of reach. Help us, they seemed to chant, their voices merging into a haunting melody that chilled her blood. With sudden determination, Samantha turned back to the book. The musty pages crinkled around her touch, and she felt the electric pulse of ancient secrets waiting to be unearthed. What if the answers she sought were buried within these cryptic writings? She focused, her eyes scanning the dim words. The darkness will consume those who summon the lost, one line warned. Panic prickled along her spine. Was this truly a noble quest for truth, or a path paved with her own destruction? Samantha. The voice called again, and this time it held an urgency, as if pleading for her to understand the true nature of the darkness surrounding her. She needed to think. The memories of those before her, their faces warped with anguish, fueled her resolve. If they're trapped here, she whispered to herself, heart pounding. Then they must want to be freed. Just as that thought solidified, the alcove dimmed. The candles flickered nervously, warning her of the incoming storm. The shadows paused, and the air shifted, swirling wildly around her. With a deep, shuddering breath, she closed her eyes to steady himself and focused on nothing but the voice that kept calling her name. Open your heart to the Trinity, it urged, a voice undeniably familiar now, mingling among the lost. Whoever was trying to reach her knew her. Panic twisted into intrigue. Was it someone she had lost? Suddenly, the ground trembled again, more violently this time. Cracks spiderwebbed across the stone, and she felt the weight of the church's history press harder, as if the building itself wanted her to stay and listen to what it had to say. She grasped the book tightly, the leather rough against her skin, heart racing as she realized she held the key. If she could decipher its messages, if she could understand what the Trinity truly meant, maybe she could break the cycle of despair. Embrace the darkness, the shadows whispered urgently, closing in. It is the only way. Adrenaline flooded her veins. Would she dare to delve into the very essence of the curse? The faces of the lost, twisted by their fate, flickered before her eyes, pleading, begging for her intervention. With each breath, she felt herself teetering on the precipice of terror and empowerment. Would she dare face the darkness of the Trinity and risk becoming one with it? Could she summon the lost without losing herself? The cacophony crescendoed, the shadows surged closer, their voices igniting a fire in her purpose. With newfound determination, Samantha opened her eyes, steeling herself for what was to come, knowing that whatever choices lay ahead would irreversibly alter her fate. But then, as she prepared to descend into the abyss, a warm light flickered unexpectedly, a slither of hope cutting through the enveloping dark. What could it be? A way out? Or perhaps a fragment of a greater truth waiting to be revealed? In that moment, the choice loomed larger than ever before. Would she follow the light or step deeper into the darkness? Each option felt like a wild leap into an unknown abyss, filled with promise and danger. As the shadows closed in tight, the flicker of light beckoned her forward, and she knew she had to make a choice. What would she choose? The shadows pulsed around her tightly, like a living entity eager to swallow her whole. Samantha clenched the book, her intuition battling the overwhelming desire to run. Something deep within screamed at her to follow the light, but a part of her ached for the truth entwined in the encroaching darkness. She took a tentative step toward the flickering glow. It was warm and inviting, almost intoxicating. The shadows, sensing her shift in focus, recoiled slightly, as if the light posed a threat to their grasp. Breathing heavily, she ventured further, the soft glow illuminating a path just barely discernible. Wait! A breathy voice flitted past her ears. You don't understand. With each cautious step, she moved deeper into the light, and a powerful wave of energy surged through her. It filled her with warmth and a sense of purpose, illuminating the pages of the book she still clutched. The whispers faded into hushed murmurs, just below the surface of her thoughts, reducing the overwhelming cacophony to a soft hum. She felt drawn to the open pages. Was the light revealing something? Open your heart to the Trinity, she recalled, her pulse quickening again. What was the Trinity? What sacrifice did it demand? The warm light pulsed rhythmically, syncing with her heartbeat. As she read the words inscribed, they shimmered dimly, forming phrases she couldn't quite understand. Life, death, rebirth, she whispered, unsure if she'd spoken aloud or merely thought it. Before she could contemplate further, the walls around her shuddered violently. The churning shadows surged, vicious and hungry, trying to reclaim the ground she'd just taken. Her heart raced as the whispers crescendoed, desperate and angry. Join us! They howled. Become one with the lost. The light flickered violently in response to their rage, illuminating the faces of the lost trapped within the shadows. Their hollow eyes conveyed pain that tangled with despair. Every countenance mirrored a life snuffed out before its time, dreams stolen, loved ones left behind, anger boiling beneath the surface. A single thought pierced through the suffocating chaos: you can save them. Her hand trembled as she reached for the light, the warmth encouraging her to let go of her fear. But then a sickening feeling wrapped around her heart. To bring them back, what would it cost? The fear festered within her, an unsettling realization gnawing at her gut. As if feeding off her uncertainty, the shadows began whispering again, embrace the darkness. Become our savior, our vessel. The only way to free them is to become one. Tension gripped her throat. She could feel the weight of their anguished stares, the penetrative emptiness urging her to act. The book urged her ever forward, a symphony of ages begging her to choose. Would following the light give her the power to summon the lost without succumbing to the same fate? There it was again, an ephemeral image pierced through her mind. A face, familiar yet clouded by time, broke through the shadows. I've waited for you, the figure smiled, the tone both sweet and haunting. It felt like home, an anchor against the chaos spinning in her heart. Samantha's breath hitched as clarity struck. It was not just about freeing the lost, it was about her choices and the consequences of those choices. The shadows grew more restless, their whispers growing louder with every heartbeat. She pulled the book closer, feeling the weight of its significance as the atmosphere crackled with energy. With urgency layered in desperation, she realized the moment of decision had come. What was she willing to sacrifice? As the shadows lunged forward, intense and relentless, she squared her shoulders. The light pulsed brightly, sending a shockwave that reverberated through her soul. Could she bind the lost without losing her own soul in the process? Before she could take another breath, the church shook, and a voice echoed through the air, declaring, "Choose wisely, Samantha. The Trinity awaits." In that instant, the choice hung heavy, thick with dread and exhilaration. What would she sacrifice to break the cycle? What truth lay hidden in the depths of the light? Samantha steeled herself for whatever lay ahead, braced for the impact of her choice, knowing that the revelations could forever change her fate. Would the Trinity grant her the strength to face what came next? Or would it unveil secrets she could never have anticipated? As the shadows surged forward, Samantha felt their breath cold, invasive, suffocating. The light flickered against the darkness, creating a stark battleground between hope and despair. Every instinct screamed at her to flee, yet her feet stood rooted as the echoes of the past clung tightly to her consciousness. Choose. The voice boomed again, sharper this time, shattering the ambient noise swirling around her. Every whisper, every mournful call from the trapped souls rose into a fever pitch, drowning her thoughts in bitter longing. What would happen if she didn't choose? Would she be lost in the shadows with them? She closed her eyes, a desperate plea rising within her. If I free them, what do I have to give? The warmth of the light seemed to envelop her, wrapping around her like a blanket, allowing her heart to feel the gravity of the situation. The book's pages rustled, snapping open to a new passage, illuminated by the ethereal glow. Words surged forward like crashing waves, crystal clear despite the chaos. The Trinity is not one but three, the past, the present, the future. Each must be acknowledged. Each demands a price. Her heart thudded heavily in her chest. A price? What do you mean? Life, sacrifice, choice, the shadows hissed, their voices merging into a malevolent choir. You must embrace each aspect of the Trinity to alter destinies. Choose wisely. As the weight of the decision settled upon her like a physical force, memories flickered in Samantha's mind. Her mother's comforting hands brushing her hair back, the echo of her father's laughter, the day her whole world had shattered into pieces. Past, she whispered, feeling the emotion swell within her. I choose to acknowledge the pain. In that instant, the shadows writhed, recoiling slightly, like a con artist suddenly exposed. Her heart raced as she braced herself, holding onto the book like a lifeline. Present, she said louder, the warmth radiating through her body, infusing courage into every fiber of her being. I choose to face the truth. The ground trembled, and the air thickened with tension. Flickers of light danced around her, revealing fleeting glimpses of joyous moments mingled with despair. Each memory blurred into one another like a painted canvas slowly dissolving into clarity. I will not lose them again. She bellowed, summoning strength from the memories that had once broken her. The shadows shrieked, thrashing violently against the radiant glow. Samantha felt their primal fear of being banished, their fury a tempest at her stance. Future, I embrace you and your uncertainties. She roared, her voice echoing through the chamber with newfound power. I will not shy away from what is to come. Light exploded around her, pushing back the encroaching darkness. The faces of the lost became emboldened, their expressions shifting from sorrow to tentative hope. When their hollow eyes met hers, a flicker of longing ignited. Will you sacrifice for their rebirth? The voice called out again, an eerie calm seeping through the chaos. But what did sacrifice truly mean? Her breath caught as the reality of her choices washed over her, a possibility of loss greater than anything she had experienced. Would risk mean losing them, or would it allow their return? Lost in the depth of that question, the book glowed brighter, illuminating an unseen path. It felt alive, pulsing with energy that connected to her very soul. But the shadows remained, they wouldn't give up without a fight. You think you can save them? They taunted, a chorus of dread encasing her spirit. Without price, freedom cannot be bought. The flickering light dimmed momentarily, trapping her in uncertainty. As time stretched and the shadows screeched in crescendo, Samantha stood at the precipice of a decision, the crushing weight of it echoing in the chamber. What if joy came at the cost of her very soul? At that moment, she understood the shadows' true aim. This isn't just about them, she murmured, the interactive echoes of power reverberating through her. It's about me too. Before she could grasp the full magnitude of what she'd unleashed, a jolt of energy surged through her electric, intoxicating. Suddenly, the church erupted in a sheer, blinding flash, and everything froze. Darkness recoiled, gasping at the light's strength, now vulnerable. But Samantha stood firm, poised for her ultimate choice. Just as the light enveloped her completely, a full voice rang throughout the space, the final truth awaits. Only one path leads to both salvation and doom, and then silence. What lay beneath those choices remained shrouded in mystery, yet Samantha knew the game was far from over. Would she rise as a savior or fall into the abyss of forgotten souls? The question loomed like an unlit flame, ready to ignite everything she believed. What truths would emerge when the final choice was faced? The blinding light pulsed, filling the chamber with an intensity that sliced through the oppressive shadows. Samantha felt weightless, suspended in a cosmic dance of energy and uncertainty. Time stretched, every heartbeat echoing like a drum, each breath a fragile promise. She was terrified and exhilarated, teetering on the brink of something monumental. As the light melded with her very essence, the world around her flickered. Images flared up vivid and real like snapshots from her life, yet twisted by the shadow's essence. A fractured mirror reflecting not just memories but emotions tangled in regret. Her mother's smile, once so comforting, morphed into a look of sadness, her father's laughter now mocking in its absence. "Mom, Dad," she choked out, the air stinging as recollections surged through her, clawing at her heart. The warmth faded momentarily, replaced by an icy grip of fear. "Embrace them, Samantha." The voice thundered, now echoing inside her mind. It felt intimate, almost familiar. "Face the truth of your existence or bask in the comfortable lies of ignorance." She squeezed her eyes shut, decisions crashing within her like waves. Would she let the past control her? The crippling weight of those shadows pressed against her chest, whispering insidiously. "You're not strong enough. You cannot bear the burden of their loss." "No!" she shouted, louder than ever, fueling the very light that enveloped her with determination. "I'm not running anymore." The moment she declared her intent, a jagged rift tore through the darkness. Faces, once lost, appeared behind it, a collage of longing and despair morphed into fierce determination. They reached out, fingers stretching as if inviting her to join them, to break free from the chains of fear. "Will you truly save us?" A voice, soft and pleading, echoed from the other side. It was her mother. The hurt in that voice sent electric shocks through Samantha, igniting something primal within. "I will fight for you," she yelled, her conviction solidifying like iron. "But it will come at a cost." The walls shuddered, a palpable tremor vibrating through the stillness. "The cost is set." The shadows screeched, enraged as their power flickered beneath the fierce glare of the light. Samantha felt the ground begin to shift, reality trembling under the weight of her choice. "For you?" she questioned, the cavern shrouded in chaos. "For your return. I'll face the fate meant for you." In that moment, the clarity pierced through the tempest. Life sacrifice choice. The Trinity coiled together in her mind like smoke coiling into an infinite spiral. The price was steep, yet it was one she had to pay. A crack split the air, the dark still defiant yet unsteady. "You don't know what you're asking for." The voices cried out, their urgency rising as they surged forward, desperate to pull her back, but she stood firm, heart pounding with the weight of her choice. I will do this, she cried, strength radiating from each syllable. Everything blurred, a whirlpool of light and sound, reality collapsing upon itself as shadows and light battled for dominance. Each heartbeat echoed louder until it drowned out the cries of the past. Samantha felt herself pulled into a tunnel of existence, a powerful force determined to challenge her resolve. As she crossed the threshold, visions of the future began to converge. Each breath she took sent ripples through time, showing her glimpses of the lives she could save, lives intertwined with her own, glimpsed through the veil. Yet a question lingered: what would she sacrifice to rewrite destinies? Would it be her own life, freedom, or perhaps something deeper, her very soul? The chamber shook violently as shadows clawed and writhing grew frenzied, desperate to reclaim their hold. The air crackled with energy, threatening to implode. In that chaotic moment, she saw it a shimmering gateway, a chance to seize the future but also a one-way door to despair. With all her might, Samantha surged toward the light, knowing not just her destiny but the fate of others lay ahead. Would she step forward into the unknown or be consumed by the shadows that swelled behind her, desperate to pull her back? Choices loomed before her like an uncharted path, every step a question of sacrifice, every heartbeat a prayer. What awaited her in the unyielding embrace of fate? The answer lay just beyond the threshold. The light surged as she drew closer to the shimmering gateway, its brightness intensifying with every heartbeat, almost alive, an entity urging her to embrace it. For every ounce of fear that scratched at her consciousness, determination ignited within. She could already feel the shadows clawing at her as if sensing her resolve, trying to drag her back, but she fought against it. Stay strong, she whispered to herself, her voice barely a tremor above the din of chaos surrounding her. The light felt like hope, pulsing with warmth, promising a future she could barely grasp yet so desperately wanted. With one final push, she crossed into the gateway, and everything exploded into a million fragments. For a moment, it was sheer brilliance, blinding and overpowering. Then, the world around her snapped back into focus. She was standing in an ethereal landscape, vibrant and alive, yet oddly reminiscent of the past she longed to escape. Colors swirled, a kaleidoscope that stirred fragments of past memories and whispered promises from the future. The air was thick with the scent of warmth, yet there was a chill that ran along her spine. Where am I? She breathed out, looking around with wide eyes. Before her, a massive tree, its trunk gnarled and ancient, reached towards the sky. Each leaf glimmered like a star, swaying to a melody only she could perceive, pulling her closer. It was filled with the echoes of laughter and sighs, a tapestry of lives lived and lost interwoven in its branches. But beneath that beauty, shadows lurked. They coiled near the root, creeping slowly, watching with hollow, soulless eyes. The juxtaposition was chilling. Here was wonder mingled with a palpable darkness that threatened to unravel everything. Do not linger here, a voice hissed from the shadows, discordant and unnerving. This place intends to ensnare you. Samantha's heart raced, memories flickering as she struggled to comprehend her surroundings. What do you want? She whispered. We crave release. They screeched as shadows twisted toward her. You think you can rewrite destinies? You belong to us. Panic surged within her, but she remembered the conviction that had led her here. I won't be a pawn anymore, she declared, fists clenched at her side. The compelling energy of her earlier choices twisted and churned inside her, urging her to fight. I am here to save them. Foolish girl, the voice retorted, slithering closer. What you will find here is not salvation, but betrayal. Suddenly, a brilliant flash erupted from the tree, illuminating the shadows for a moment. She saw it then, faces twisted with anguish, figures once familiar, their expressions hardened by time, urging her forward. You have the power, Samantha. Her mother's voice rang clear, cutting through the chaos. You're not alone. Samantha's chest ached. I will not let them take me, she cried out as she focused on the light emanating from the tree, drawing strength from her memories, from the love that transcended despair. This was the moment. Would she allow the shadows to ensnare her like they had so many before her, or would she push through their suffocating grasp to forge a new path forward? The shadows roared in defiance, but she could feel the warmth tightening around her like armor. "I will break their hold," she shouted, heart racing as certainty coursed through her veins. As she stepped closer to the radiant core of the tree, the shadows writhed, and for a fleeting moment, doubt flickered. "What if you sacrifice too much?" they whispered, stinging her with the weight of their words. "What if you lose everything?" With a deep breath, she embraced the light, feeling it envelop her in warmth while the shadows spat out their anger and rage. She could sense the pull of the past trying to reclaim her, and suddenly, visions flooded her mind, moments of laughter, warmth, tranquility, but then abrupt darkness twisted those memories like a cruel knife. A choice loomed, to fight against the rising tide of despair or to succumb to the shadows whispering their dark promises. In that moment, Samantha realized something profound. This was not merely about her past or even her future. It was about all those who suffered under the weight of their shadows. She took another step, fueled by the love she carried, the sacrifices she was willing to make. But as she did, the shadows shrieked with desperation, and a sudden crack split the air, reverberating in a chilling reminder that the struggle was only beginning. "Prepare for the cost, Samantha, the true cost," they echoed as the light began to fade. What was she willing to sacrifice? Who would pay the price? The answers hovered just out of reach, enticing and terrifying all at once. The light flickered, struggling against the darkness that swirled around her like a living entity, choking her resolve. Samantha's heart hammered in her chest, a frantic rhythm echoing the fear gnawing at her insides. The shadows twisted, transforming into limbs of despair that snaked closer, eager to reclaim her. "No!" she shouted, fueled by defiance that erupted within. She could almost feel her mother's presence, an anchor amidst the chaos, guiding her. "I want to let you take me back. Not now. Not ever." But the whispers intensified, twisting and shifting, trying to seep into her very soul. "You think love will save you? Think again." They hissed, their voices slithering into her mind like venom. "You will pay dearly for your choice." Suddenly, the air shimmered again, and the light surged forward, wrapping around her as if sensing her fear. It pulsed, brightening the corners of her consciousness. Memories flooded her mind, her mom's laughter, the warmth of a hand clasped tightly. "Focus on the light," she murmured, squeezing her eyes shut as her mind wrestled with the voices. She could feel the shadows clawing. It felt like being torn between two worlds, drowning in despair while desperately grasping at hope. Then she remembered. The faces, the familiar smiles twisted in the darkness. They were urging her on, pulling her further into that warm embrace. "I'm doing this for all of you," she cried, the conviction surging back. "For everyone I've lost to this madness." As if inspired by her defiance, the shadows recoiled momentarily, their harsh grip slackening. In that brief flicker of respite, she bolted toward the radiant core of the tree, her heart pounding fiercely, but with each step she took, the shadows howled, a cacophony of wrath and despair filling the air. "You choose to defy us. There will be a reckoning, Samantha. You will suffer for the sins of your choices." Trembling, she pressed forward. "I'll bear it. I won't let your darkness rule me anymore." Just as she reached the core, a blinding explosion of color and sound engulfed her. The light enveloped every fear, every shadow, igniting a fire within her. She felt powerful, unstoppable even. But beneath that intoxicating strength lurked a fierce unease, whispering tales of potential loss. What if it's not enough? The thought pierced her like an icy dagger. What if you fail? Her knees buckled, and she stumbled to the ground, uncertainty crashing down like an avalanche. The shadows surged again, sensing her faltering spirit. "Yes, give in," they coaxed, wrapping around her legs, dragging her downward. "It is easier this way, no." Samantha screamed, her voice cutting through the clutches of despair. In a final act of desperation, she grasped a handful of dirt from the ground, feeling its coarse texture grounding her. It was real, just like the moments she had cherished. Love is worth fighting for. I won't be a victim to the shadows anymore. With that surge of assertion, she rose once more, pulling herself from the earth like the tree that had birthed her. The vitality of the tree shot through her veins, igniting her fight against the darkness. Determination replaced fear. She was a storm, the crack of thunder that shattered their booming whispers. I choose light, she declared, throwing her head back. Just then, a shockwave erupted from her, a brilliance that radiated outward, shattering the shadows around her, but as light enveloped the darkness, a distant, haunting laugh echoed through the air, an announcement that the fight was far from over. You may have won this round, but shadows never truly fade. In that moment, doubt slithered back, planting seeds of fear. What did it mean to confront shadows that never truly disappear? What lay ahead? Samantha took a breath, tension coiling tightly within her. She could feel something looming, something darker waiting in the fringes of the light. As she steadied herself, a chilling sensation swept over her. This isn't over, she whispered, dread pooling in the pit of her stomach. The journey ahead remained cloaked in mystery. What other truths awaited her, hidden in the shadows that still clung to her soul? The air around her was charged, almost electric, and she felt the hairs on her arms standing up. An unsettling silence replaced the rage of shadows, as if they were gathering strength for a counterattack. Samantha's heart raced with each echo of the haunting laugh that lingered, a constant, unsettling reminder that victory was a fleeting illusion. Fear trickled back into her mind like a slow poison, whispering reminders of her failures. She focused instead on the warmth radiating from the core of the tree, the heart of her connection to the light. The light pulsed gently, and she shut her eyes again, envisioning her mother's loving embrace. Stay strong, she told herself. You're not alone. But was it enough? Dark thoughts clawed at her. Doubt sank into her bones, heavy and suffocating. What if this light is just a facade? What if you're meant to be cast back into the shadows? Suddenly, a gust of wind whipped around her, howling through the branches above, like the fury of 1,000 lost souls. It tore at her clothes, biting into her skin, and she stumbled backward, off balance. A faint glimmer caught her eye. There, just beyond the veil of the darkness, lay a path, a trail bathed in soft golden light. It beckoned to her, a siren call that promised to unravel the mystery of the shadows. Without thinking, Samantha stepped forward, each footfall echoing like thunder in an empty void. Run, Samantha! A voice urged from the depths of her memory. It was her mother. Find the truth. With a renewed sense of purpose, she raced towards the glowing trail, her breath coming in rapid gasps. The shadows wove themselves into a wall of sorrow around her, clawing and screeching as she passed, but she barely registered their bitterness. The light was growing brighter, more alluring, as if it recognized her determination. But then, just ahead, she saw a figure emerging from the blinding illumination. It was tall, shrouded in cascading radiance, its features obscured. Her heart quickened. Who are you? She shouted, her voice wavering. The figure reached out a hand, fingers delicate like petals caught in a breeze. Come closer, it urged, its voice soothing yet eerily familiar. I hold the answers you seek. Samantha hesitated. The warmth radiating from this figure felt comforting, yet a small, insistent part of her warned of its potential deceit. Shadows danced around her, creeping closer as if sensing her faltering resolve. I can help you defeat the darkness for good, the figure continued, its voice smooth and enticing. But first, you must confront the truth buried deep within yourself. What truth? She demanded, fighting against the pull of hope mixed with suspicion. What do I need to know? The figure's lips curved into a mysterious smile. Your connection to the shadows runs deeper than you realize. You're intertwined with them more than anyone could have imagined. A chilling realization washed over Samantha. Could it be? Was there a link between her and the darkness that had haunted her soul? Before she could process the implications of that thought, the shadows erupted around her, swirling with fury. Do not listen to it. It lies. They shrieked, their voices rising to a furious crescendo. Make your choice. The figure beckoned, light spilling from its palm like liquid gold. Step closer and uncover your true destiny. The shadows loomed, desperate and thrashing as the figure's light flared brighter. Samantha felt the world around her spin, caught between the promise of revelation and the terror of despair. And just when it seemed she might reach out, something shifted in the atmosphere, a suffocating darkness that blotted out the light. Trust only yourself, she whispered, feeling her instincts flare. But a treacherous part of her mind gnawed at her. The question echoed in her heart: what if that truth would shatter everything she believed, leaving her lost in the abyss? As shadows converged, Samantha stood frozen, caught between light and dark. The hourglass of fate was tipping. What decision would she make, and could she truly handle the truth waiting just beyond the veil? The ethereal landscape shimmered around her, the tension between light and shadow stretching thin like a taut wire ready to snap. Samantha's heart raced in her chest, thudding against the weight of choices pressing upon her. The figure bathed in gold still beckoned, whispering sweet promises of solace and truth, but the shadows snarled and hissed, desperate to ensnare her in their bitter web. Your connection lies within the truth, the figure urged, voice dripping with seduction. Face it, and you can end the cycle. Samantha struggled against the rising tide of doubt, the shadows thrumming with intensity, desperate to reclaim their grip on her. She took a steadying breath, her mind whirling, scrambling for clarity amidst this chaos. What truth could possibly lay within that would justify the darkness? The air thickened, and with every passing second, she felt the pull of the shadows pressing heavier against her. Tendrils of despair tried to anchor her to the ground, their cold breath racing up her spine. They lie, Samantha. They clamored, you belong to us. Let the past take you back. No. She shouted, ripping free from their grasp. The resolve burned brighter within her, igniting determination through the haze. I won't be a prisoner anymore. Suddenly, the glowing figure stepped forward, the warmth radiating like the sun breaking through a storm. You can end this, but it requires facing the truth. Only then can the shadows that bind you be broken. Heart pounding, Samantha faced the specter of her past, the pain, the loss. What is this truth? She demanded. What is it that binds me to them? The figure's eyes glimmered in understanding. Your pain is part of them, woven into their very essence. To set them free, you must confront that which you fear most, the darkness within yourself, the grief you carry. Tears welled in her eyes, but she pressed on, anger fueling her. Their pain isn't mine to bear. A chilling laugh echoed from the shadows, filled with a mocking disdain. You think you can escape the legacy of grief? They suffocate you, hold you tight within their sorrow. Acknowledge it, embrace it, only then will you find your strength. No. With a surge of defiance, she stepped toward the figure. I want to free them. I'm tired of carrying their weight. As if sensing her intention, the shadows lunged forward, swirling with a gust of anger that howled around her. You will break under the weight of their despair. I will break only if I let you. She countered, the urgency boiling in her heart. I have to see. Show me the truth. The air rippled with energy, and the figure nodded, stepping aside. The shadows hissed, their outrage palpable, but she had made her choice. The moment stretched, suspended in time, before the tree's luminous core brightened as a vortex of memories spiraled before her. These were not just echoes of laughter or warm embraces, they were snapshots of pain and love entwined. Every face, every moment, flooded her with a rush of emotions that threatened to engulf her. She saw herself as a little girl, joyfully laughing with her mom, then the shift the moment her light extinguished, replaced by tragedy. No. She gasped, collapsing inward. But it was too late. The memories surged, pulling her into the depths of her own heartache, a whirlwind threatening to crush her spirit. Just then, silhouetted against the light, her mother's face swam into view, proud, strong, adorned with the essence of resilience. "Face the shadows, sweetheart," the voice echoed, filled with infinite love. "You are never alone, even in darkness. You were meant to carry the light within you." A tidal wave of clarity washed over her. Samantha realized that the shadows weren't merely what haunted her, they represented the love she had lost, the lives intertwining her own. They were her history, vibrating with stories aching for healing, longing for release. As that understanding surged like a storm, Samantha rose, unbridled. "I embrace you all," she shouted into the vengeful air, encompassing her memories both light and dark. "You'll no longer control me. I choose to set you free." The shadows recoiled, howling their displeasure, but this time she was ready. The light glowing within her radiated outward, blazing fiercely, setting alight every dark tendril in its wake. Each step forward sent waves of healing energy through the air, sparking a reaction amongst the lost souls trapped in the void. With every embrace, she felt their pain transform. It shifted, freeing their spirits, emerging from the shadow-laden tapestry to soar into the light of hope. Their anguished cries morphed into gasps of relief, filling the air like a sweetened melody crescendoing into blissful harmony. "No! They're escaping!" The shadows shrieked furiously, thrashing against the brilliant surge of energy that had arisen in her heart. Despite their desperation, their dark hold weakened, their essence beginning to dissolve. Samantha took that energy and she directed it outward, forging a bridge of light for those lost souls, reminding them of the warmth of love and joy that could replace despair. It was in that moment she realized she wouldn't just free them. She was freeing herself. "I choose to hope," she yelled, fury mingling with resolute love. "Your darkness cannot define me. We are more than our past." The light erupted like a supernova, illuminating everything within reach, every shadow and memory, every soul long forgotten. Streaks of radiant energy snaked through the darkness, weaving bright patterns of rebirth. Then silence fell. And when the dust settled, there stood Samantha, breathless, resonating with triumph. Bathed in light, she felt the weight lift, the gloom dissipating, revealing a landscape brimming with life. She looked around, feeling an ethereal glow lighting her face, the air charged with energy. For the first time tangible hope wrapped around her heart. Samantha sighed, glancing back at the remnants of shadows curled on the ground, fading into echoes of existence. "You may linger, but you no longer control me." With every beat of her heart, she knew this wasn't just the end of one chapter. It was the beginning of a symphony woven from the cries of the lost, sung in harmony with the living. As she stepped forward, ready to embrace her future, the sun broke through, casting warmth over her weary soul. She was free now. This was the moment she had fought for, the moment she would cherish. With a smile breaking across her face, Samantha whispered into the winds of change, goodbye. Her heart thrummed with an uncontainable joy. This light was her legacy. This moment was hers. Now, it was time to live. Hey, everyone! If you've enjoyed this wild ride and want to be part of even more thrilling tales, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait even one more second. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and help us soar. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Your participation is what makes this community amazing. And don't forget to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means everything, and each action helps us tell more incredible stories. Thank you for being with us on this journey.